What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 7. I'm Anthony.
I'm Jake. This is lucky number 7. We got merch now. Doomrollers.com. Let's jump to the news.
All right, guys. First up in the news, Jiu-Jitsu is back. Fight to Win is going to be throwing a couple of events. They announced a bunch of events for the next couple weeks. What do you think, man?
I'm stoked. I think it's awesome.
Sure.
I think there's not going to be an audience, right? I think maybe it's just fighters.
Yep, no audience, just a show going on, streaming.
Who can be very cool? Who can be surprised that Seth Daniels would jump right on something like this? The guy's a gangster, does what he wants.
Yeah,
so,
man, I think Submission Underground's had some success, so he's definitely taking note for sure.
Man, I've been watching Submission Underground, and it's good because this will give me a reason to keep my Slow Grappling subscription.
Uh-huh.
I've been thinking about canceling ever since they started that Gordon Ryan show. So,
all right, so let's talk about some of these matches in Fight to Win. First one they announced, one of the 4 they announced, Cyborg versus Vinicius Tritor. Second in ADCC versus the legend Cyborg. What do you think?
I mean, you called it, man. It's an up-and-comer versus a legend.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an awesome fight, man. Cyborg got no chill. Tritor is like a good wrestler, man. They both have a beastly top game. Man, if I had to pick, I don't want to pick, but I'm telling you who I root for. Cyborg every day. That's my dog.
Yeah, of course. I think both of them, they're actually pretty similar, very tough.
I agree.
Kind of like head down and keep going. I think Cyborg's probably a little more technical, but I wouldn't doubt any technique coming from Vinicius, training under Marcelo. So,
yeah, man. Both of them are coming out of hard rooms. You know what I mean? So a lot of this is going to depend on like who's going to be able to get the best training with what's going on and who's going to be able to get those hard rounds in. But awesome to see a legend and a young guy going at it.
All right. Another match announced. Cashinho versus AJ Agazarm. What do you think about that one?
It's a fight to win, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Does AJ ever sub anybody?
Yeah, no, not at all.
So, actually, I really like Cashinho. I think the Aries team is super cool. Shout out to the Aries boys that we're homies with. And
yeah, for sure.
That's who I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for Cashinho on this one. AJ, to me, is kind of one of the first guys to use his mouth more than his skills. So, hard for me to root for that guy. Beast of a wrestler. He'll probably try to double leg him and then just like rub his face all over him. So hopefully Cashinho uses his technique and taps that fool.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see how AJ's game changed because, like you said, he's definitely not a submission hunter. He's very hard to finish. You can't really argue that he's a tough kid.
Definitely tough. Nogi world champion. I mean, he's a beast, bro.
Yeah, I'd like to see how he does after doing some MMA training for a while. Wonder if he comes out a little bit more aggressive than kind of defensive like he usually fights. So that'd be interesting to see. But with that said, can't deny Cashinho, man.
Yeah, I'm picking Cashinho both in my heart and my head on that one.
All right, next match announced. The young Roberto Jimenez versus Gabriel Almeida. What do you think?
Man, I gotta go with Jimenez in this one, man. The kid's a savage. He's coming off a win over Keenan. I think he's like getting ready to shine on the big stage. I think we're just beginning to hear from this kid. And in my opinion, I think he's going to be dusting everyone for a while.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's pretty hard to go against, especially the way he started at black belt. He's got wins over Keenan already, and, he's really making noise.
Super impressive.
Gabriel's got a tough team over at Checkmat. I know he's...
Man, it's going to be a scrap. I just think that right now, Roberto's got the momentum going for his favor, the tempo going in his favor, and he's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, momentum's a big thing. All right, and the last match they announced, Ethan Creliston versus the No-Gi World Champ, Johnny Tama. What do you think?
This one's actually going to be super interesting. I actually have a prediction, but I am a homer. So let me just preface this. Johnny's my friend, but I think he's going to take his back and choke him. And I think he's also going to stamp his card for the next ADCC. So that's my prediction, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think Ethan's, kind of thought of as a leg lock guy just from his camp that he trains with. But we got to kind of remember Johnny. He's not really a stranger to leg locks. He knows.
Right.
I wouldn't call him a leg locker, but better watch out.
He has leg locks in his arsenal, man. But
Yeah,
the thing that Johnny proved this last year at Nogi Worlds is that he's a versatile fighter, man. He can fight people anywhere. So, like I said, my prediction: Johnny takes his back, rear naked choke.
Here we are, guys, week whatever, with literally nothing to talk about. So I'm just going to do a rundown of one of my favorite jiu-jitsu fighters, Desiree Matuda. Desiree Matuda is 36 years old. She fights at the lightweight division of the IBJJF. She is from Brazil, but currently resides in Deer Creek, Florida, where she trains at American Top Team. Desiree got her start with martial arts at 15 years old. She started training capoeira and 2 years later got into Muay Thai through her brother, who was a boxer. And she has been quoted as saying she was really scrappy when she was younger, getting into a lot of school fights, and Muay Thai kind of helped her focus some of her energy. A couple years after she began her training, her coach recommended that she try jiu-jitsu to improve her groundwork game and get her ready for some professional fights. However, within a month of training jiu-jitsu, she does her first jiu-jitsu competition and her goals kind of change after that. She has a number of world titles under her belt, once at purple, once at brown, and 3 times at black for a total of 5. She received her black belt in 2012 after winning gold at Brown Belt Worlds and went on to win the Black Belt Worlds Lightweight Division at 2013, 2014, and 2016. She's also won PANs 2015, 2016, 2018, and Euros in 2017. So in that time period, super decorated in the IBJJF. She still competes all the time. She's still super fun to watch. I really love her because she's a really dynamic, fast-paced fighter, always seeking the subs. Some people are out there to play the game, but you can tell the second she steps on the mat, she wants to win. Her arm bars are the best. There's nothing better than a Desiree Matuda arm bar highlight reel, so that's my recommendation to check out. She's been quoted as saying that she is in no rush to fight MMA, but if you know anything about American Top Team, they train a ton of UFC fighters. If you follow her on Instagram, you will see her training with JJ a lot, who's another one of my favorites, which is kind of cool to see them, but she's saying she's not in any rush. Her husband is the head striking coach at American Top Team. Ketel Kubis has been there for over 11 years, so she's definitely got the right people in her corner. I personally would love to see her fight MMA, but she's also such a star in jiu-jitsu that I don't think she has to. I don't know, it should be exciting to see. I would say that although she's been around for a while, she's still absolutely one to watch. I love keeping up with her home workouts right now on Instagram, so if you're looking for something to do, I highly recommend checking out her page. She's got a lot of great solo drills there. All in all, big fan, can't wait to see what she does. So yeah, that's Desiree Matuda. Give her a look. We'll be back next week to talk about God only knows, so take care.
All right, we got 5 fights, and we're picking them.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, nice. Let's
UFC
go.
249 main card picks. Let's go. First up, Greg Hardy. I know you don't know anybody. That's what makes it funny. Greg Hardy versus Jorgen De Castro.
Greg Hardy dies and decays.
Nah, dog. I got Greg Hardy, DX for life, Hardy Bros for life. He's winning with a Hurricane Rana off the top rope.
Yes, he is. Greg Hardy.
He's going to throw you on a pile of guns.
All right, Greg Hardy.
Correct!
Next up,
Greg Hardy.
Jeremy Stevens, Calvin Kattar.
Jeremy Stevens.
Wrong.
Punches his
Sure.
face off.
Sure.
He's old, but he's crafty.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong.
Sure.
All right, if Andy says so. Next up.
I'm with it.
Oh, and look at this name. Francis Ngannou versus
Jairzinho Rosenstruck.
Jairzinho Rosenstruck.
I'm going with Francis. That dude got that power, bro. He got that knockout power. I'm going with him. I don't know the other guy. I'm going with him.
All I know about Francis.
I mean, it's someone's getting knocked out, or they're just going to stare at each other for the entirety of this fight, and nothing's going to happen. So I'm going to go
Scary
with
contest. I like it.
You are technically correct.
All right, championship matches. Henry Cejudo, Dominic Cruz.
Henry Cejudo, bro. Dominic Cruz, old as fucking broken. Get out of here.
Yeah, Dominic Cruz's knees disintegrate halfway through the match and he loses.
Yeah, dogs.
Henry Cejudo. I like.
Well, that's cool, but that other fool needs to just go to announcing, bro. He hurt all the time. He Glass Joe of MMA.
All right, Triple C it is.
That is correct.
And finally, Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje.
Tony Ferguson, that dude's a wild man. I don't even understand him.
Just because Heavy Hands was talking shit and saying Gaethje is going to win, fuck you. Tony Ferguson wins, 3rd round fucking knockout or stoppage due to blood.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, guys. Robert Drysdale, Marcelo Garcia. Throw it back. Little wrestling, little hand fighting. Little head control, kind of feeling each other out. Little under over tie up. Nothing comes of it. Drysdale on that head control, and Marcelo's just shrugging them off. Marcelo goes for that double leg. No real setup there though. Drysdale's too big to just kind of go in on. Again, shrugging that off. Marcelo looked like he, arm drag to that single. Drysdale gets his foot on the outside, good defense. Marcelo can run to that double. He sits it to the butt. Drysdale keeping that leg on the outside. Yeah, there Marcelo goes, attacking for that double. And he kind of gets it. Drysdale pushes right back. Stands right back to the feet. Good defense. Doesn't accept the position. Now, back to where we started. Hand fighting, feeling each other out. Marcelo shoots that sweep single. Drysdale shoots a fucking Darce. Locks it up. Looks like it's on. That's a big dude to have a Darce on you. It's throwing Marcelo's body around. Has it nice and tight. Marcelo's trying to get his back to the mat. Can't do it. Drysdale gets the tap.
Hey, what's up guys? My name is Crystal Gaxiola. I am a brown belt at Atos Jiu-Jitsu HQ in San Diego under Andre and Angelica Galbao. Some of my accomplishments at purple belt were American National Champion, Gi and Nogi, Nogi World Champion, Pan American Champion, and World's Champion. And then my first and only competition at brown belt has been Nogi Worlds back in December, where I took 3rd place. I'm definitely a top player. I like to play on my feet. I like pressure passing. I'll attack from the top a lot, like guillotines, or I'll take the back and attack from there. I definitely like to utilize my takedowns a lot, which a lot of times will turn into scrambles, which I love. And honestly, I'm not really like a strategic type of fighter. I don't think that I have like a certain game really, which I guess could be a good thing because you never know what's going to happen. I like to kind of just go out and fight. I like a good scrap. So a lot of my inspiration to compete definitely comes from wanting to prove to myself and others that it doesn't matter like where you come from, how much money you come from, how much money you have, what you've been through, what you're going through. Like, as long as you want this bad enough and you work hard enough and you believe in yourself, you can do it. Like, yeah, it's gonna suck. You're gonna have to sacrifice a lot, but it's possible. And also, like, coming back from my surgery, like, I was out for 9 months. I popped my elbow out of the socket. And a lot of people hinted, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this anymore, or, like, maybe you should take a break or whatever. But that fired me up even more. And then after that, I won all of my big titles. I definitely want to get my black belt under Andre and Angelica. I moved there when I was a white belt, and I told myself that I would get every single belt under them because it doesn't get any more legit than that, you know? And then other than that, I just kind of want to be the best athlete and the best competitor that I can be. I want to be a good teammate and help my, teammates improve and accomplish their goals, because it's like the better they are, the better I am, and vice versa. So, yeah, black belt, maybe a couple more world championships, ADCC sometime. Yeah.
Yo, thanks so much to Crystal. Really awesome to get to feature one of the up-and-coming women in the sport. Can't wait to see what she's going to do.
Yeah, thanks, Crystal.
For this week's history session, we're talking about knee cut passes and motorcycles on the mat. Probably the most utilized pass today, the knee cut pass or knee slide pass, was originally known as the Margarita pass. Fernando Pontes, better known by his nickname Margarita, which means Daisy, a joke about the color of braces in his teeth when a child, was famous in the early 2000s for having battles with such names as Roger Gracie, Flavio Almeida, and of course his 2001 World Championship battles, having 2 matches with Saulo Ribeiro. Margarita was known as kind of a bad boy in the sport. Multiple motorcycle accidents, being asked to leave multiple academies, even a famous fight with a doorman. In 2000, he was awarded his black belt by Godoy. The next year, 2001, he went on to have his most productive competition year yet. He won the Pan American Championship, submitting his former teacher, Fabio Gurgel, who had yet to be submitted. And then, in 2001, his most famous battles yet, 2 matches with Saulo Ribeiro. At the time, Saulo Ribeiro was the reigning king of Jiu-Jitsu. They first met in the middle heavyweight division. He first beat Saulo in the weight class with his patented baseball bat choke. After the match, Saulo turned to Margarita and said, "Well, we got one more." They went on to have a grueling absolute final, with Margarita finally winning on points. After he wins the match, the event was sponsored by a motorcycle company. Margarita wins the motorcycle, hops on that bitch, and rides it around the mats like true bad boy style. Though Margarita went on to have wins in MMA and an ADCC appearance, he will for always be remembered for his 2001 victories over Saulo. Jiu-Jitsu was never the same after Margarita. The knee cut pass became the staple, and his baseball bat choke was learned by everyone. Thank you guys for letting me tell you about one of my favorite fighters and some of his crazy antics. If you win a motorcycle, you better ride that shit on the mat.
Showing me up with them. I feel embarrassed now, bro. I should go shave mine.
No, but yours is much cleaner, bro. My beard's coming in, so I gotta clean it up, though.
I gotta tell you the truth, bro. I had to dye mine, bro.
Why? It had some whites in it, did it?
No, otherwise it just looks like extra skin. It's not the same color as my eyebrows. It's just like a blonde. It grows in blonde there.
I wish that mine laid down more like Tom Selleck, bro. Mine grows straight up. All the time.
I mean, you're basically saying what everyone who ever has had a mustache ever has said.
Yeah.
Before you jumped on here, we were actually saying, like, it's actually not fair to compare, like, the white guy mustache to, like, the Latin America mustache. They just, like we were saying, like, Johnny Tama got the coolest mustache, but it's not really fair. Like, he ain't even a grown man, bro. He shouldn't even have that mustache. So, bro, how you doing, man? You doing good?
Doing good, bro. I've been training a bunch of man in my garage. I got mats in my garage, so me and Italo train in the garage. But
nice.
It's been good. I haven't been going crazy because I've been able to train a little bit. But other than that, I'm just waiting for this thing to be over.
So, look, one of the first questions that I like to ask everyone is a real typical question, like how you got into jiu-jitsu. But for me, I like knowing, like, what made you want to compete in jiu-jitsu?
Shit, bro. I don't know. Like, so I was from, like, where I'm from is super small. And so my dad kind of made me do jiu-jitsu when I was a kid. He thought it'd be good. Like, I know how to defend myself because I was getting into junior high. And man, there was no tournaments in Nova Scotia. So I don't know where it popped into my brain that I wanted to start competing. But I kind of had that from since I was a little kid. Like, I'd look on the internet. I'd see the tournaments in Brazil. I remember there was only like one website for jiu-jitsu. No, there was two. There was In the Guard. It was a Brazilian website. And then there was bjj.org. And you could look at some of the pictures. And I was just like, man, that shit looks so cool, bro. And I told my parents, like, no, I'm going to be a jiu-jitsu competitor. They're like, there's not even any competitions in Atlanta, Canada. Like,
what are you talking about?
You're crazy, you know? But eventually just started to work out. But I think it just popped into my head from looking at pictures on the internet.
So when you originally started in Canada, who was your first coach? Like, who did you first start training with?
So it's crazy. So I'm from this tiny little town. It's on the side of the highway. And there's like maybe about 9,000 or 10,000 people. And I know tons of people from Nova Scotia, where I'm from. And they're like, oh, you're from Truro. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, I've never been there, but I've got gas there before. Because when you drive by, there's a big gas station. And there was this dude, and he was like a karate guy, and his dad owned a sawmill or a lumber mill. And his dad passed away, and he inherited the lumber mill. The lumber mill got bought out, and he had gone to New York a couple times to train with Renzo. I think he'd been to Brazil once, too. And he brought Carlos Gracie Jr., who's the head of Gracie Barra, the head of IBJJF, with Marcio Fatoza, who was the two-time world champion.
And, like, he runs Gracie Barra's, like, competition team for a while, he did at least.
I think he's the head of Gracie Barra America still.
Yeah, man. Beast.
So I had class with those two guys when my first class was with Carlos and with Marcio. Carlos used to teach the adults, and Marcio used to teach the kids. So I did maybe 4 months of class with them. Then they moved back to Brazil. And then he brought another Brazilian, this guy, and he paid for the Brazilian's university. So the guy was there for 2 years with us. So I did like yellow, orange. I did the kids' belts with him.
That's a groundbreaker, man. What year was that?
That was 97.
Man, to think that there was guys like so tuned in and so smart at that time, already bringing the right guys and to be doing the training, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's just a crazy coincidence that jiu-jitsu landed there, because if that would have never happened, I don't think I ever would have found out about jiu-jitsu.
Right. Did you ever wrestle or anything as a kid?
I wrestled a little bit. So when I started telling my dad that I wanted to do jiu-jitsu competitions, my dad had competed in a couple different things. My dad was into competitive handgun shooting. And so he kind of like started putting me in like wrestling tournaments and judo tournaments. So I did a little bit of judo and wrestling when I was a kid too.
Bro, is your dad a cop? Is he a cop?
Oh, no.
I just mean because the handgun shooting and the mustache genetics, like, perhaps, you know?
No, he's about as far as a cop as you can get from, bro.
Nice.
But I think he was into hunting and guns and stuff when he was young. And so
red-blooded Canadian.
Judo tournaments and wrestling tournaments. I didn't do very good in the judo tournaments. There's too many rules.
Yeah.
But in the wrestling tournaments, I wrestled for like maybe, I think, 3 or 4 years in Canada.
So you had some experience already. And then, so I know, not a lot of people know, but you spent time in Brazil. You spent time with Cyborg. You're like a known traveler. You've been all around. How did that start from being in this little small town in Canada to like linking with guys like Cyborg and Julio and going to Brazil?
So that was another crazy coincidence too. So like, I'd been to the Pan Ams once when I was a kid. I went when I was 15. My dad took me, and we went by ourselves.
How'd you do?
I got third.
Hey,
I didn't know the rules at all.
Just went to kill the guys.
Oh man, I didn't know any of the rules. I lost my match in the semifinals, and when I stood up, it was afterwards. I watched the match. I think I lost by like an advantage point. I had no idea what the score was. I didn't know if I won, if I lost, you know. But that was the only time I'd ever been out of Canada, actually. And so my dad that summer, he ran into a family that lived like down the street from us, and they had got an exchange student from Brazil. And they're like, "Oh, I think he does jiu-jitsu. He does martial arts. He's a blue belt." And he was like my age. And me and him became really good friends. He wasn't really into training that much. He was actually really good. We only trained maybe like 10 or 15 times the whole year he was in Canada. And he used to give me a really hard time. He was really good, but he wanted to meet the Canadian girls and
Yeah.
party a little bit.
Party.
But I went back with him the next summer to Brazil for 2 months when I was like 16.
That was your first time?
Yeah.
First time. And then I went back the next year and I spent a little bit more time. And then when I finished high school when I was 18, I didn't have any money to go back. So I worked for a year. I worked at a pub. I did different stuff there. I worked like a little bit of security. I worked on the tickets. I did like some of the liquor orders where they'd put the booze downstairs in the refrigerators. And I saved up some money and I went to Rio when I was 19 for 8 months.
And is that where you linked with GF Team or before?
No,
You
man,
were
I was a
still just
purple
kinda-
belt. I was actually a blue belt then. I've been a blue belt for almost 5 years. And because my uncle does jiu-jitsu too, so I used to train with him when the Brazilian guys left, but he couldn't grade me because he was a purple belt.
Right.
So I was a blue belt for forever. And,
It's like all these problems of the dark ages in North America. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like my uncle and his partner were purple belts, and that was like unheard of in Atlanta, Canada. They were the
Yeah,
baddest
like a
dudes.
unicorn. I mean, I remember when
Exactly.
I started, man, my first graduation, I got 1 stripe, and a bunch of other dudes got blue belts, and it was like the black belt at the time's first blue belts. And I remember looking at those dudes being like, man, someday I'm going to get that blue belt. Like, we had a purple belt come from Houston one time and train with us, and everyone kind of looked at him like, oh my God, I don't even think it's possible, you know?
Yeah, man, my plan was to get a purple belt because I've been a blue belt for so long. I was like, man, if I can get a purple belt, I got it made in the shade.
And purple's the one where you really start getting respect.
Sure, and it's a lot of people quit at purple. They quit before purple belt. If you
Right.
get to purple belt, you can probably get to black belt.
Yep, that's what I always say. That's why before I give the purple belt, I'm always like, this is the one where if you quit, we're not going to be friends. Like
Because
I'm
it's a big step.
That's it. Well, Andy just got his purple belt. I know he got some questions for you.
I guess my biggest question, and I was talking to some guys earlier saying that we were going to interview you, and it was specifically about half guard. I mean, you came up, you did the seminar. How far into your career did you start developing it, and why did you kind of focus on it? It's kind of like a unique position. It seems to be like your calling card.
So it's funny, man, because when I was a kid, I was a blue belt, and I was maybe like 16 or 17, and I did a private with a black belt. And I won't name drop him, but I asked him after we rolled, I was like, "Oh, what do I got to get better at?" And he was kind of a dick to me, bro. He's like, "Man, he's like, your half guard sucks." He said, "You don't know anything once you get to the half guard." But man, where I was from, like, we didn't really have a ton of information in that position. And like soon afterwards, I went to Brazil, and the guy that I trained with in Brazil, his name is Eduardo Gemelon. And he was a huge influence on Jeff Glover. He's the one who showed Jeff Glover the deep half guard. He actually invented the deep half guard. He's like an old school competitor from Alliance. I think he's Checkmat now, or Checkmat, or I think, yeah, Checkmat, or maybe his own school. And I just kind of ended up at his school by accident. And they would do half guard every single day. And so I did half guard for like 2 months, but he never showed me the deep half guard. And it was funny because when I was leaving Brazil, I bought a magazine that had all these techniques in it, but I couldn't speak any Portuguese. I couldn't read any Portuguese. And I was reading I was looking at the pictures in the magazine on the way home on the plane, and I saw the waiter sweep from deep half guard. And as soon as I got back to Canada, I started training again. I started doing the waiter sweep on people. It was like, it worked right away as soon as I tried it. And it was crazy because like even now to this day, if I learn new stuff, I've never been somebody that can learn something and do it right away. Like I'm somebody that has to like work on stuff for a really long time. I have to rep it and then do specific training, and like stuff doesn't come to me super easy. And I remember I saw the picture in the magazine. I was like, man, I think I could do that. And the first day I tried it, it worked. And I got to work a whole bunch of times. So it was like
Instantly,
it
it
was
was like made for you.
Yeah, it was made for me.
For you. So you mentioned something before. I didn't speak Portuguese yet, but you're pretty fluent now, right?
Yeah. Well, I lived in Brazil for about 10 years total. So I got I've been with my wife since 2012, and I've been going back and forth from Brazil since 2003, but really heavy like from 2006 till 2018.
So what parts of Brazil do you love outside of the jiu-jitsu? Like what are some things that if someone hasn't been there that you feel like they need to experience?
Oh, the food, man. I miss the food so much.
The food is so good. The açaí is like Even at the
So
tournaments,
good.
it's not even close, bro. Like people don't understand.
I know everybody. I have so many friends here in the U.S. or in Canada and Europe. And they're like, "Oh, we love going to the Worlds because you can eat acai." And I never tell them. I don't want to crush them. I don't. Want
Yeah,
to
but it's not even the same. It's not even close.
it's not even close, bro.
Yeah, it's not even close. I gained 10. I was in Brazil I went like 2 weeks in 2010, and I gained like 18 pounds.
Where'd you go? Rio?
Yeah, I actually went to Sao Paulo.
Sure.
But the dopest thing was I had just got my blue belt, and I actually remember, like, this is kind of a funny story. Hopefully, maybe we'll cut this so I don't get in trouble. But, like, I remember I was, like, chilling on the beach with my sunglasses on. I saw this girl, like, swimming around, looking beautiful, and I was, like, staring, you know? And then I just saw this monster, like, lift this girl up out of the ocean and carry her. I'm like, oh, shit, I hope he didn't see. And it was Shanji Ribeiro, and then he came over, and him and my coach kind of knew each other a little bit, and he was, like, laughing at us for being blue belts and stuff. He actually ended up coming to the school, like, 3 months later and teaching, like, a sick seminar. But I'll never forget, like, man, I was, like, looking at Shanji's girl, and, like, luckily
You don't
he
want to
didn't
mess with
catch
Mr.
me.
Ribeiro, bro.
Bro, he would have killed me for sure. He would have killed me. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, bro, we're talking about legends. Let's talk about Cyborg a little bit. I know that was like a huge connection for you. That guy is always a personal favorite of mine. I went from being like a fan to getting to hang out with him and train a little bit. And he's one of my favorite human beings I ever met. I know you got to spend some time in Miami. What's it like? What was that connection? How'd you make that connection? And what's that like?
So it's funny. So he's from like the central western part of Brazil. I've gone there a whole bunch of times to compete, but the first time I ever went is he came to Rio, and one of my really good friends is like a childhood friend of his. They grew up together. And so my buddy was living in Rio, and Cyborg came and stayed with him. So I ended up hanging out with him, and it was kind of crazy because like I couldn't speak very much Portuguese at the time. I could like say the basics. But they came and picked me up. And there was two guys in the front and Cyborg was in the back, and I got in the back and I see this like big monstrous dude. I'm like, oh man, it was like kind of intimidating. And then he just started like speaking like perfect English to me, and he was like super friendly. I was like, man, this guy's really cool. So we competed at a couple tournaments in Brazil, and I hung out with him. That was actually the weekend that he beat Damian Maia and Braulio at the Worlds.
Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
So I watched him do that, and I was just like, oh, man, this guy is amazing, you know? And we did a little bit of training, and he's so fun to train with because he can train with anybody, any size, any level, you know, and he's always been good at that. So we had some really fun training when I was there too, you know? And I ended up going to their state tournament that year. He invited me up, and I went and trained with them a little bit and hung out after the tournament. And it was cool. I won. I only had a couple matches, but it was good, a good experience. And then the next year, we went to the Worlds together because it was the first year they're going to do it in California.
Right.
And me and him had trained a little bit more that year. He'd come to Rio a couple times, and we like had become good friends. And then in 2007, after the Worlds, he invited me. Maybe I think it was right at the start of 2008. Actually, is when I left. He opened up his school in Florida, and I ended up living in the gym there for maybe like 2.5 years on and off. So I lived inside the gym there, and there was no students. So it was crazy. Like
just like war all the time then.
Yeah, there was one Brazilian guy that was my weight that was super good. And he liked to train a little bit. He wasn't super consistent with training. He liked to go to the beach a lot and stuff like that. So me and Cyborg would roll every day. I do like hour-long matches with him. I learned so much jiu-jitsu in that time, you know. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, one of the nicest people, man. Every time I'm around him, it's a pleasure. You know, he's so
nice charismatic.
Guy. Yeah, he's one of those guys where you see what he's built, you see the guys that he's bringing down, and it's no surprise, you know. So you've got to be around a lot of different guys, and I know that you spent time in Rio with Julio Cesar, like living in the gym, in the Kashango with Vitor and all those guys. Tell us a little bit about that. I don't know, your favorite part of that experience, or the part you hated the most. Like, what was the best and the lowest?
So I lived in the gym in Brazil, I'd say for close to 3 years. So what I would do is I would go back and forth. So I would go, like, sometimes I'd go to Europe or I'd go to the States to like do seminars or different stuff to make some money when my money would run out in Brazil, and I would come back to the gym. Living in the gym was awesome. I lived with Gutenberg a bunch. I remember Gudo's first day when he came to the gym, bro. He was like maybe 17. You know, I lived in the gym with Max for a long time. Me and Jaime lived in the gym the most together. So Vitor was there in 2010. Then he came to Columbus. And then in 2000, I lived in the gym a little bit 2010, but mostly 2011 is when I started. And me and Jaime started at the same time. So me and Jaime lived in the gym together for almost 3 years. Man, some of the best stuff was just doing jiu-jitsu all day long. Like me and Jaime would wake up and like do positions, and then we'd do like the pro sparring. And then a lot of times at night we'd start talking about jiu-jitsu, and the mat was right downstairs. So I'd be like, hey,
so
man,
you just instantly go back.
Oh yeah, and just kind of do like a laboratory, you know, like we'd have Max with us or different guys. So we'd always be like, oh man, I've been doing this. It's been working. Oh man, well maybe you should do this instead, you know? That was super cool. Living in the gym was crazy, man. Like I remember the front door was broken for a long time. So we just put it down sometimes, and the latch didn't really work too good. And you'd have crackheads try to come in the gym at night, like try to lift the door open.
Just to sleep, just for a place to sleep.
Yeah, we had a dude, I remember we were there one time, and we saw this crackhead walking down the street, and he had Adolfo's key on, because we used to hang the keys upstairs. And it was kind of cold in Rio that day. And we're like, oh shit, that guy's got Adolfo's key. And someone like ran down the road and got it from him.
Oh man, that guy, he should have held on to that, bro. He would have ran, put that on eBay. Who knows what would have happened?
It would have kept him warm too, you know?
At least, man. Yeah, especially back then, they only had the big-ass coral geese.
That's what he was sponsored by, bro. He had all the coral geese, bro. He could have gave up one. He was sponsored, man.
Yeah, I feel you.
When did you know that like GF team is where you wanted to be, and what do you get from Julio? Like, how does he help you out?
So it was kind of crazy because when I got the black belt from Cyborg, and when I got the black belt from Cyborg, he said, man, he goes, I want you to, when you go back to Brazil, I want you to find like a really good support system, like a big team, because it's going to be a lot different from brown to black belt. Because I had a lot of success at the lower belts, but he knew that black belt was going to be a big jump for me. So I ended up making the connection with Julio and those guys at GF team. And you know, I was supposed to go there for like 6 months and compete for GF team. And when I moved back to the US, I was going to compete for Fight Sports. And whenever I was in Brazil, I would compete for GF team and then for Fight Sports. And then when I got the GF team, there was like, man, 10 guys that were all in my weight division. At Cyborgs, they didn't really have anybody that was my belt or at my weight division at the time. And we fought the Brazilian National Teams Championship at the end of the year. And what happened was there was 3 teams. There was A team, B team, and C team. And I thought, man, if I get on the B team, I'm going to be super happy, because I thought the guys were about my level. I remember Julio in the meeting, he said the C team. I was like, oh, sweet, I'm not on the C team. He said the B team. He didn't say my name. And I was ready to cry on the mat. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even make the B team or the C team. And they put me on the A team, and we fought Atos in the finals. So it was me, Pimenta, Theodoro, Jose Carlos, and Tanquinho versus Rafa Mendes, Gui Mendes, Ed Ramos, Davi Ramos, and Frazado. So what happened is in the teams championships, it's best of 3. Mm-hmm. So they line up the 5 guys, and whoever gets 3 victories first in that round wins. We got into the finals with Atos, and it got tied 2-2. And I was the 5th guy. I was the tiebreaker.
Shit, batting clean up, bro.
With 10 seconds left, the match was tied. I swept the guy to mount. With 10 seconds left.
Do you remember the guy? You can say it.
Yeah, Ed Ramos. He had won the Pan Ams and the Euros the next year.
Beast. Is that Davi Ramos? Are they related?
No, Ed's from Sao Paulo, and Davi's actually from the neighborhood where the gym's in. He's from Mayer.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and I remember we had this the whole gym went crazy. We had this big party, and Julio said to me afterwards, he goes, you're with us now, right? And I said, yeah, man. So there's no way that I can't be. So I went back and I trained with Cyborg for like 7 or 8 months. But, you know, I just kind of basically told him, I said, man, they have 10 guys that are in my weight division, you know, so it's going to be tough if we go to a tournament and any of them come to the U.S., I'm going to have to end up fighting them. So that's how I ended up there full time.
And so now you're teaching at Vitor's school, right?
Yeah, me and Vitor have been buddies for a long time. I used to come here and do camps. So I've been here for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, a while, man. And where do you see yourself going in the future? You want to stay? You like teaching? You like competing? You ever thought about opening your own thing?
Yeah, I'm trying now. It's good because I have a lot of training here, so I'm still trying to compete quite a bit. I don't know I'm still going to compete at adult, I think, too, a little bit. I'll be 35 this year, so I'm going to try to get a couple more years of adult. But I'm going to kind of like, I think, switch between the two. I'll do masters and adult. But while I'm still wanting to compete, I'll be here because I'll have the training, you know?
Right. And, man, Vitor's such a beast, man. It's so good to get that knowledge and that support system. And
pound for pound, one of the baddest dudes I've ever trained with. It's
for sure.
His pressure on top it's insane that he can make lightweight, man, because he feels like he weighs 100 kilos when he's on top of you.
So, bro, do you have like one moment in jiu-jitsu that's your favorite? Can you think like, oh man, I did this thing and it was like, I'll never forget that the rest of my life, or jiu-jitsu as a whole kind of that way?
Man, competition, I had like a lot of good memories, you know. Probably that Brazilian National Teams Championship, man, was probably the craziest thing because like, we were in Tijuca Tennis Club, and that's somewhere that I had competed a lot, you know. I'd get to the finals of some of the big tournaments there, but I don't think I'd ever won there.
And what a legendary venue. For people who don't know, like,
baddest, bro.
I mean, I'm the same age as you, Jake, and you got into jiu-jitsu well before me, but for me, that was like the videos I saw. I remember watching like Roger Jacare, and you see the crowd and like the mats, the yellow and the green mats, and it's like Mecca, you know what I mean? So to have a cool story there is kind of like, you know, not a lot of people get to have that cool story in like such a legendary place, you know?
Yeah, that was the first time I won there. I won a couple tournaments there. I won Brazilian Nationals Nogi twice. I won the Rio Open there. I won a couple big tournaments there, but that was the first one. And just because of the atmosphere and stuff, because of the pressure, because Atos also came, they said in Gracie Mag basically they were going to beat us.
Just destroy everyone.
Tournament, you know. And then when we picked the numbers, who was going to go in what order, I'd never done the national teams championship before, so I was like, I don't know. And they put me in 5th, and Julio looked at me. He's like, man, that's a super important spot. Like you gotta hold it down if it comes down to you. And I was like, you know, so I think that was probably the coolest match I've ever done.
Sick.
So just talking about training in Rio, and I know GF team recently, or in the last couple of years, kind of made a big push to North America. But are there any guys back in Brazil that we might not know yet? That I know you were a big coach out there. So any guys that, you know, you coached up coming up that we might be hearing from in a couple of years?
Yeah, there's a couple kids, man. So So obviously you guys know Mauricio, who was up in Toledo.
Yes.
Man, what a great kid. What a beast.
Mauricio.
the man. And bro, I've watched that kid whoop like world-class black belts when he was a 15-year-old blue belt.
Whew. I mean, I believe it, bro. He came to my gym and beat the pants off me when he was a purple belt. So, and then he was like a brown belt the next week and a black belt the next week. So
crazy. Like I remember
he's a savage.
Main training partners when he was a blue belt, and when he was like maybe like when he's a little bit older, almost purple. So when he was like 17, 18, man, he could give me all I could. He beat me half the time we roll together.
Yeah.
You know?
So you guys heard it here twice, man. That's 2 weeks in a row. Max said it. Jake said it. Keep your eyes on Mauricio, man. Keep your eyes on
he'll be black belt world champion. There's no way about it.
I believe you. I believe.
Another kid that's he won the worlds last year at blue. He's a dream right now. Is Anderson Diaz. He's super good. Man, there's a black belt at the gym. He's got his. He came up with Mauricio actually. Junior's his name. Man, this kid, he's had his visa denied 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
To come to the U.S. Man, I trained with this kid all the time when he was a brown belt when I fought Lepre both times. And honestly, from training with him in the gym and fighting Lepre, his pressure on top is super similar.
He got the juice, yeah.
Oh, man, and just like super technical, not strong at all. He's good on bottom, good on top. But like, man, I remember 2017, 2018 were like 2 of my best years. And I was training with him, and this kid was like a brown belt. Nobody really knew who he was. And he would pass my half guard every day when we trained.
Wow. Do you remember
super good.
When Jackson Souza from Checkmat was that guy where everyone was kind of like, man, he got the visa finally. Like, it's going to be insane. You know?
Hey, man, he's been killing it, man. Like
And it was true.
It took him a long time, though, man.
Yeah, a long time. That visa stuff gets crazy, and it's probably going to get even crazier with all this.
Man, there's one kid, bro. He's a cop now in Brazil. He doesn't train anymore. Jose Carlos. Almost nobody knows this guy. He beat Hidalgo twice in the lower belt.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he used to come train with us, and he was GF team for maybe like 10 years. He's still GF team. He competes every once in a while. Man, I used to train with him, and he'd make me want to cry after I trained with him. He'd put like 40 points on me and tap me 3 times in a row when he was like a brown and I was a black belt. He's probably the craziest guy I've ever seen in the gym that nobody really knows about.
Yeah. Well, hey, bro, I'm so happy we got to talk to you. Thanks so much for your stories. Anyone you want to shout out? Anything you need to say? Sponsors? Anything? Projects you're working on?
Man, thank you guys for having me on. First and foremost, like I said, I was a big fan of the show. I've watched almost every episode, so super cool to be on. I love what you guys are doing. Man, just show it to my wife, to Vitor, everyone here at Ronin and stuff like that. Hopefully we can get the gym back going on soon. And then I'm going to start a YouTube channel here. So that's kind of what I've been doing on my downtime. So just check me out at Jake Mackenzie, BJJ. I'll have some content up this week.
Boom. We're done, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Jake and Crystal, for coming on. Make sure you guys subscribe. I'm Anthony.
I'm Jake. Buy our shit. Doomrollers.com. Roll forever.
Forever free.
Ooh.